All right, we're back at the Terralago Vineyard. It's now the end of September, and we're out looking. I mean, the grapes are looking beautiful this year. A nice color. The stems have starting to ripen. The seeds are nice and brown inside as well. And so, at this point, we're looking at the sugar, the acid, but really more importantly is the flavor. And these grapes are tasting really good. What I like to see is a lot of like blackberry type fruit. Really good fruit sweetness. Often with Cabernet, you can have problems with pyrazines, which give you kind of the bell pepper flavors, the more vegetal flavors, which we don't like as winemakers, and well, mostly because consumers don't like it either. So we want really nice fruit flavor, and they have that. I mean, these grapes are ready to go. The sugar level is about 24.5 bricks, and this is going to make us a really, really nice wine this year. The harvest this year, I guess the most challenging part of it has been that it's been very condensed. The whites and the reds have been coming in at the same time, so even though we're near the tail end of harvest, we're still actually harvesting Chardonnay. And in a more typical vintage, we'd finish the Chardonnay before we'd start the Cabernet. And so, the wineries have been very full, which makes it quite challenging because sometimes you want to pick something and you can't because there isn't space for it at the winery. So, that's probably been the biggest challenge this year. So there's been a couple of little rainstorms this year. There was about 2 weeks ago, there was about 0.04 of an inch. Last week we had 0.02 of an inch. So really not enough to affect these grapes. I mean, Cabernet doesn't tend to have any issues with botrytis, which is a rot. And Chardonnay in the cooler regions, people get real nervous about that. I mean, that's a flavor characteristic that you really don't want when you're making what we call table wines, Chardonnay. But the botrytis is also referred to as the noble rot, because we can make late harvest wines where that's a predominant flavor that we want. It dehydrates the grapes, so you get incredibly high sugar content, and has these kind of musky floral aromas that are really nice for that style of wine, but not a flavor that you want with a table wine.